Hey Peculiars, it's me, Amanda, the Peculiar Brunette, and today we're going to be discussing freezer spells. Now, freezer spells are known for their strong ability to stop people from causing you harm. It successfully freezes your adversary. In this video, I'm going to teach you everything you wanted to know about freezer spells, including what they are, why you'd want to make one, and then a very simple step-by-step tutorial on how to make your own. Then I'm going to go through some ways you can enhance your freezer spell and make it even stronger. Then I'm going to answer some frequently asked questions, including how to dispose of the freezer spell. So grab your favorite drink and your grimoire to take some notes, and let's jump in. Freezer spells are defensive and protective magic with Hoodoo origins. They freeze someone and stop them from harming you. Now, in this type of spell, you write the person's name and the intentions you have towards them on a piece of partition paper. You then take that partition paper and you place it in a container with water and then freeze it. Now, as the water freezes, it essentially forms a protective barrier between you and any toxic intentions. So it effectively neutralizes any potential harm. You'd cast a freezer spell to stop someone from causing you any harm. You'd choose doing a freezer spell when you're past the point of communication and you're not really looking for a relationship with that person. Freezer spells are also useful against gossip and bullies who are making your life difficult. Now, I've even heard of some people who use them to freeze their bills or other financial obligations. Now, I personally have not tried that, so if any of you have, comment below and let me know if it worked out or not. And before we go any further, remember to sign up for the Magical Monday newsletter so you can stay updated on all things peculiar, including the pagan holidays and moon magic and other exclusive content. Now, I'm going to show you the step-by-step tutorial to make your own freezer spell. First, you'll need to gather the basic supplies. So you will need a small freezer-proof container that seals, water, partition paper, aka a piece of paper, and a pen or a marker. Now, I personally love to incorporate color magic into mine, but that's just my own preference. You don't have to do that. Popular small container options that I found people use a lot are empty medicine bottles, water bottles, Tupperware, or personally, I like to use Ziploc baggies. I've even seen some spiritual practitioners slice a lemon almost in half and then wedge their partition paper in between so that the intended target can deal with the bitter taste. To begin, grab the container of your choice and make sure and cleanse it. Then grab your partition paper and write down the intended person's full name. Now, if you don't know the full name, that's okay. Just go ahead and do the first name or the nickname. And then in addition, if you know their birthday, write that as well. Next, you'll want to write the intention that you have for this freezer spell. If you're unsure what to write, that's okay. Just simply put, "Leave me alone." Then fold the partition paper away from you as many times as possible. Place the partition paper in your small container and cover it with water. Now, I like to keep mine weighted down with something like a small stone. As you add the water in it, visualize your intentions and spiritual energy forming a protective barrier around you. And then you can place that in the freezer. Now, I'd recommend placing it in the back of your freezer just because then it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, similar to sigil magic. But I know there are plenty of spiritual practitioners who believe you shouldn't put a freezer spell anywhere near food that you would consume. So instead, they bury theirs outside in their backyard, a lot of times during winter, because then it's definitely stays frozen, right? Now, I'm often asked by new practitioners what they can do to prevent the freezer spell from backfiring on them. That's not something that I believe can happen. But if you're very concerned about it, you can simply say, no negativity shall stay. Joy and peace simply come my way. Now, there are a few more ways that you can kind of enhance the freezer spell and put even more of your intention into it. A really good way to do that, first thing, is called a tag lock. A tag lock could be a photograph, hair, nails, a personal item of theirs, anything that you have that represents that person or spiritual energy that you're trying to target. Now, basically you just take that tag lock and you would place it in the water with the partition paper as it freezes, and that adds another element to it. Another way to enhance your freezer spell is kind of similar to the return to sender egg cleanse, where you're adding like vinegar or paprika or red pepper flakes, peppercorns, like anything that's kind of spicy that is going to basically send that negative energy back to the person who is sending it to you. So when it comes to a freezer spell, you basically add those into your container with the water and with your petition paper. So as they're frozen in this freezer spell, you know, they're in there with those negative intentions too. If you're interested in something a little more friendly, you can add something like lavender to help your intended target calm down and chill out. I've also seen some spiritual practitioners wrap their freezer spell in tin foil with the shiny side facing inward, so the intended target can face themselves like a mirror while they're sitting there frozen. Personally, I like using moon water in my freezer spells just for that additional lunar magic included in it. You can really use any moon phase that you like, but a popular choice is the waning moon because it's good for banishment. Lastly, you can add any pagan or witchcraft symbols that resonate with you. And you would add that to the petition paper before you place it in the container. Now, you can add things like, you know, Norse runes or Om symbols, the Theban alphabet. You do the evil eye, sacred geometry. You can make your own sigils. I mean, the list goes on. So anything that resonates with you would add that additional power to your freezer spell. You want to leave the spell in the freezer until its purpose has been accomplished. Now, how long that takes is going to depend on the spell's intention, complexity, and desired outcome. Now, once you believe the spell has achieved the results that you wanted, you have a few options. You can leave the spell in the freezer where it can continue working as kind of like an ongoing form of protection. If you don't want it to stay in your freezer, your other option is to bury it outside in the ground so it can continue its protection and without undoing any of the effects. When casting a freezer spell, I recommend focusing on one person at a time. If you focus on too many people or too many intentions, it can really dilute the spell and it's not as powerful. But if you're targeting each individual or each intention, it's a lot more focused and powerful. Now, there are two main ways to dispose of a freezer spell. If the freezer spell is complete and you want it to continue working, then I would take the freezer spell out of the freezer and allow it to thaw completely. Then I would dig a hole in the ground and I would dump out all the liquid contents, including like the vinegar or anything else you put in there. I'd also put in the petition paper and anything else that's biodegradable into that hole. Again, also the container that you might have used, if it's biodegradable, I would put it in the hole too and bury everything completely. If not, I would just simply throw it away in the trash. The second way is also kind of similar, but this is when you want to reverse the freezer spell. You kind of do the same thing where you're going to take the freezer or take the spell out of the freezer and let it thaw completely. And then I take the petition paper out as soon as it thaws, and then I'll let that sit on the counter and dry out completely as well. Then once that's dry, I will burn the petition paper to reverse its effects. and then anything else I will pour into the ground. So again, anything that's biodegradable, anything else that's left, you can just throw that away in the trash. The difference between these two lies in the spiritual practitioner's intentions, where one is releasing the spell's energy in kind of like burying or disposing of, where the other one is actively undoing its effects. No, freezer spells are not really used for casting love spells because they're meant to stop someone from harming you. If you want to do a love spell, I would recommend doing like a love spell candle to help you manifest a positive romantic relationship. Wiccans follow the Wiccan Rede, which states, "If ye harm none, do what ye will." They also follow the rule of 3, which basically is saying that any intentions or actions that you put out towards someone else will come back to you times 3. So due to this, many Wiccan practitioners will not do freezer spells. However, practitioners like myself and many others believe that freezer spells are a type of defensive magic, and I really don't think we're hurting anyone. We're simply stopping people from hurting us, and I don't personally think there's anything wrong with that, but you're going to have to decide for yourself in your practice if freezer spells are something you'd like to do. All right, I hope you found this video on freezer spells helpful. Please make sure to ask any questions that you have or comments down in the comment section below. Lots of love to you, and remember, as always, stay peculiar, where one is releasing the spell's energies. Okay. They bind and freeze someone. Damn it. Now, I like to include water in my water. Obviously. Personally, I like to include moon water. First, you're so to begin, cleanse and then freeze that. And then and as that water freezes, now, once you, where you're basically adding, I don't want to say that, a good way to use that. I didn't like that. Let's try that again. Now, it keeps the effects going, and, oh God, I keep reading. All right, I think that's everything.